Hi everybody! Today I'm going to show you how to open a raw file in Photoshop, convert it to JPEG, and edit using layers. Here's the file right here. I just downloaded it, so it's in my downloads folder. And I'm already in Photoshop. I've navigated to it and I'm going to open it. My Photoshop is being a little slow. Okay, so whenever you try to open one of those files with the .nef extension, that's a raw file, and it opens this camera raw. And you could play around with the settings here. It really depends on how you want your picture to look. So, I would just suggest playing with it. You could change color balance. There's a white balloon here. There's a way that you could pick white balance based on the white in the picture. Sometimes it doesn't look right. You could always adjust it based on what you feel. You could also bump up the exposure if you wanted to. There's a vibrant, saturation. There's other buttons here too. There are curves. This is for sharpening. This has 3 different layers where you could change the hue, saturation, and luminance of each of these different colors. So for example, yellow will make her skin tone brighter if you pull it this way. Or actually it's picking up the green grass. So there's no exact science to it. You just have to play with it. There's highlights. This is for color correction and chromatic aberration. That's a big one when you're shooting outside. Sometimes you'll get that halo around people, and that'll fix it. And this one, it's for if you're shooting with a 50mm lens or something like that. So you could see it adjusts the corners. I believe it automatically reads what type of lens you were shooting with. So you could see the difference. It just kind of stretches the corners. So I'm going to undo that. I don't really play with a lot of... I usually just play with this one, and this one. So I'm going to open it. If you have more than one image, you could always, up here, it'll give you a box that says it's kind of a control panel in it, and you could copy the settings from one to another. So I'm going to open that image. Okay. So now if I just wanted to save this as a JPEG, I would just do Save As, and then change right here to JPEG, right there. And then just click Save. It's going to ask you what you want your settings to be. I always save as 12 maximum, and I always do baseline. I'm not sure what these mean, to be honest with you. I don't think it really matters. I've been doing this for years, so I'm just going to say okay. If any of you know, feel free to chime in though. So now we have our picture, and what we want to do is duplicate a red over a white using layers. And so what I'm going to do is just pick this balloon because I think that this one would be easier. I'm just looking at the outline. I think it might be easier, so I'm going to choose this balloon to overlay on this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control and then letter J, and that'll duplicate my layer. And you can see over here in this control panel, the layers panel right here, it's created as a layer that's exactly the same. So what I want to do is change the opacity over here to 50%. And then I'm going to use this moving tool over here. And I'm going to move that red balloon over the white balloon. So I'm going to have to readjust the red balloon because it's too big. And I want it to be perfectly over. My computer is still being slow, which is why I'm having these issues. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the move tool or the adjustment tool to make this a little bit smaller. And so this is the top layer right here. And when you move it, you're on this tool here. I moved it up by left clicking, holding, and dragging up. And now when I hover over the corners of the picture, you can see that double arrow, and that makes it a little bit smaller. And if I press shift at the same time, it locks that aspect ratio so that if I don't press shift, see how it moves around, and I can make it any size I want. If I press shift, it will only let it move at the same aspect ratio. So I'm going to actually click move, and I'm not going to apply because that one got a little crazy. So again, I'm just going to click shift, press the shift key, and press the left mouse button and make that balloon smaller. I don't know for sure if it's gonna fit right over it, so I'm just gonna move it. So all I'm looking at is this one balloon right here. I zoomed out by pressing control button and the negative. So I just wanted to make sure that it did line up. And so now I'm gonna click the move button again and apply. And I could zoom in by pressing control and the plus button to make sure that it's kind of over. So you could see right here, there's a little bit of this balloon's a different shape. So what I actually want to do is line it up as much as possible. Okay. So now I've got this layer that's 50% over this original layer. So the original layer is what we want to change, but we want to do it with this layer. So what we want to do is create a mask. First, I'm going to change this back to 100% now that I have them lined up. And then I'm going to create a mask right there. White means that it's going to show, and then black means that it will only show through when you paint over the black with the white. And what I'm talking about is this mask right here. So if you press Control I, it'll invert. When you have to have this highlighted. So for example, if you were on this layer, this part of the layer, and you press Control I, it'll, well, you can't see it, but it'll give it the image in inversion, and you don't want that. You want the mask to be inverted. So I'm going to change my brush to white, and I'm just going to reveal underneath to see the red. And I'm changing the opacity of the brush to higher opacity so that I can do it a little faster. And I could also increase the size of the brush, and I do that by clicking the bracket next to the forward slash. There's two brackets between the P and the forward slash. Those are going to make the paint brush size bigger and smaller. So all I'm doing here, and that's okay. You could also, in this area right here, change the hardness of the brush. So if I wanted it to be a little bit harder, like right now it's really soft, so it was creating kind of like a halo. If I wanted it to be a little harder, it's easier to control for this situation. So I have to be kind of careful on the edges because it does run over and be into another red balloon. So you see that where it's kind of turning, that lighter red color is where it's running into the other balloon of this balloon down here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is kind of zoom in, and I'm going to change this to black. So you can see right here, that white spot is the balloon that I've revealed below. And if I press Control and the / key, which is right next to those bracketing keys that I was talking about below the backspace button, if you're on this layer, oh, you just press the / you don't have to press Control. You could see where I have revealed the underneath part. So this balloon was on green background, so I even caught a little bit of that. That's no big deal. It's this little part right here that I have to fix now. Okay, so if we're zooming in, and you do that with the Control + sign, and if we make our brush a little smaller, and we change our paint color, and what I'm doing is I'm just gonna paint ever so carefully. So what I just did was I moved over that balloon a little bit because it wasn't exactly in line. This is pretty detailed work, so if you're not into details, it's probably not going to be fun for you. I like the details. So what I actually just did was wrong. So if you go to your history, and then these two brushes that I did were incorrect, so I want to go back to the move. When you do that, it'll take away what you just did. I was on the wrong layer. I was on the wrong part of the layer. I was actually brushing on the picture, not on the mask. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I changed it to 50 because this is not blended very well. So I just wanted to blend it a little better. Okay, I'm going to zoom in again. I'm on the wrong color, so I want to take away, not add, not reveal. I want to hide what's underneath. How I'm moving down is I'm just using the roller on the mouse to move down, and it's pretty quick. So you can kind of see that line right there. So I'm just going to trace this. I'm going to turn this back up. Now I'm going to leave the white strings because they're going to be really hard to change colors. Here we go. Almost done. So it is not easy by far, but it is possible to change and make it look realistic. There's some other techniques as well. I made a little accident right there, so fix that. And actually, I do want this part right here, which is the so there's so many different ways you could do this. People use the marquee tool to grab the layer beneath and then clean up the area around it. I think that's a little more advanced, so I'm just showing you this. So there you go. It's red now. You still see the white string is there, but some of these balloons have white string too, so I think that'll be fine. And again, all it is you're revealing the layer that you have created. You're revealing this little white part. So if I hide this layer, there it's white again, and then it's red. So I think that's the most natural way you could get it. And then you just do a Control E. A Control Shift E will flatten both layers together and make them one. So let's just zoom in one more time and make sure it looks okay. So I'm just doing a Control Plus. That might be too close. There's a little bit of white here. That's okay. It doesn't bother me because it has a little bit of white from the sky reflecting and such. So I think it looks more natural because you have the shadow still. All of them had that. You could see this one had it. I don't think it's going to be too noticeable that it's an exact duplicate of that because it's kind of the same angle. So there you go. I'm going to do a file save as, and I'm going to just put my initials so I know which one's the final. And there you have it, a very cute image. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have a fantastic Father's Day.